hello, and welcome back. This is Life After Love with Kim and
Kim.
okay. Earlier today, we were talking about finances, and we felt that this is something that we definitely needed to share with you. Most of you losing your significant other, in our case, our husbands, were the main breadwinners, and now we are faced with having one less income. However, the expenses continue. I know, Kim, you've had some extra expenses that
Yeah,
you've had
I
to
was
deal with.
I was just gonna say there's added expenses that you
Hmm.
don't realize that they just pop up, and like you
Hmm.
just had an incident with your car, so that's
Absolutely.
another deductible, and
Hmm.
it's just one
Hmm.
thing after another, and it gets very tiring.
It does. And again, just another layer, and you're already overwhelmed. You're already exhausted from the grief, and you're trying to figure these things out. I had never had to do anything like I recently did with my car situation.
Yep.
I was very blessed. My husband took care of all that stuff. I didn't understand about deductibles and things like that. I hate to admit that, but that's the case. I mean, that was what he did. That's not what I did.
Right. And
You
the
know,
roles, even though we were married, we each had our own roles and we
absolutely.
did things together, which you did,
Right?
I'm sure. I know
Yes.
you did.
Yes. Hmm.
And I also feel like when my husband used to take care of like all the insurance cards to make
Hmm.
sure they were in all the vehicles, and when when it came time for that, I would get them in the mail. I'm like, what do I do with them? And
Absolutely. Yeah.
I felt like I had no brain.
Hmm.
Like it was
Hmm.
grief brain. It was brain fog. It was all those things
Hmm.
together.
Hmm.
And then you just assign me one more little task,
Hmm.
not little task, but one more task. It might
Hmm.
seem little, but then they add up, and that's a lot to shoulder.
Hmm.
Um, that's just another, just like we were talking about
Hmm.
on our other podcast too. Um, that there's just one more thing added, and
Absolutely.
it's layer after
Hmm.
layer
Hmm.
after layer, and it's
Hmm.
exhausting.
It is. Um, a few things have happened here at the house, and I'm like, that's it. I'm selling the house. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Which of course isn't something that I should
No,
do because that would be a whole other thing.
a whole
Uh,
other
but
podcast.
yeah, but again, I was very blessed that my husband was able to do, carpentry and some plumbing and things like that. So with his passing, I've had to rely on private individuals that I have to pay. And that's
Mhm.
a whole other thing that I never dealt
And
with
that's
before.
another expense.
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
I know my
Hmm.
husband used to do like outside chores or like yard work, and I
Hmm.
love to do yard work too, but he would take on the majority to
Hmm.
make sure that everything
Hmm.
was ready for winter. He would
Hmm.
clean up, do the spring cleaning like outside, and I would do inside things. Yes, he
Hmm.
would help me, but that was kind of his
Hmm.
job is outside, my job was inside, but we
Hmm.
would help each other, of course. But now I have to do all of
All
it,
of it. Yeah.
and I think about that. I'm
Hmm.
like, I have to take care of all the landscaping. I have to make
Hmm.
sure that um, that the flowers get watered. And I used to plant, and I was thinking about this over the weekend. I went to an Amish place to get some flowers, and I used to plant like dozens and dozens of pots of
Hmm.
annuals. I used to put them on the
Hmm.
back deck, on the
Hmm.
front deck, around the
Hmm.
around the mailbox, and in the landscaping. I used to put pots beside bushes, and
Hmm.
now this year I have three.
Hmm.
But I used to
Hmm.
have dozens and dozens
Hmm.
because I just a it's extra money. B,
Absolutely.
it's
Hmm.
extra work,
Hmm.
and I'm not up for it
Right.
anymore. And
Right.
I keep saying I'm too tired. I'm exhausted,
Hmm.
but it is exhausting.
It is. It
This
is.
state of
Hmm.
grief that we're in, it's exhausting day after
Hmm.
day after
Hmm.
day, and you
Hmm.
sit down and you're instantly asleep. But sleep doesn't fix the
No.
exhaustion that we
No.
feel, and the mental exhaustion, the physical, the emotional
Mm.
uh, exhaustion is not fixed by sleep alone.
No. And then you wake up and you have to deal with it again.
And you wake up and you
So
think, well, here I
yeah.
am again. It's the
Yeah.
same stuff. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. I feel like we're doing it
Maybe,
over
yeah,
and
like
over
that
and
movie.
over. I
Absolutely.
do. I feel like it's
Absolutely.
Groundhog Day.
And I know, like I had said to Kim earlier, like I just would like an hour break, like just an hour to where I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to think about anything. Nothing is pressing. Nothing. I just would like an hour of just not being able to have to think of anything.
Or somebody else can do it for you, like where you have no
Right.
responsibility for one
No,
hour.
that's,
Just let
yeah.
somebody else take
Take
over
over.
my
Yep.
life, take over my life,
Yep.
take over my body for
For 1 hour.
1 hour.
Yep.
That's all I want. And not even every
hmm
day, just once. I just
Yeah.
want it once.
I think if I just had like just a break,
Hmm.
like,
Just a
can we
break.
get a break?
Yeah.
And that's just it. I feel like since this happened to both of us, we've not had a break. We literally cannot get a break. It's
Oh.
one thing after another.
And
Um,
I was just on vacation and I don't feel like I had a
hmm
break. It was
hmm
nice to get away,
hmm
but it's always in the back of your
Yeah,
mind. It's
absolutely.
always everything is um in just it's a constant reminder that yeah, my
hmm
husband's not here. He's not enjoying this
hmm
with us. He's not part of um this not celebration, but it is good to get
hmm
away. So, you do celebrate. You
Right,
just
right.
go do whatever you want to do,
hmm
but then that's another expense and
hmm
then you feel guilty. Should I be spending this money? And
Absolutely.
then but you don't want to not live. And
hmm
so there's just a constant struggle all the
It
time.
does seem
And
like
that's
that.
tiring.
Absolutely,
It's a
absolutely.
tiring one.
And then too, again, I was very fortunate. Some of you people are really going to hate me. I was very fortunate
Me.
that, quiet down. My husband also did all the cooking. Sorry.
Mine helped. Mine
I,
did help. He tried.
yeah, I never had to cook. So with his passing now, that's another.
You're learning.
I'm learning. I
You're
don't
doing
like it.
you're doing a good job.
I don't like it. Going to the grocery store is not good. He did that too. Um,
Whatever.
I know.
Whatever.
Again, I'll admit I was spoiled. Not going to deny it. But again, it just adds another layer. Like, what am I going to cook? How am I going to get this done? Because I work all day. Um, going to get the items I need, things like that. I know it may sound simple to some people that have been doing it forever, but that's something I haven't done in years.
Correct.
He took over the cooking years ago.
Mhm.
And it was just I had switched shifts and it was just the way it worked out. And he started cooking and I mean he just took off like crazy. So
That's
but again,
perfect.
just one more thing I have
Yeah.
to do.
One more thing to think about.
One more thing I have to think
One
about.
more thing.
The
Yeah.
whole car thing. Like um, I don't know about oil changing. I think it's
Have you
every
had it done every 5,000 miles? At least 3 to 5,000?
someone told me 3 to 5 thousand. So
Correct.
okay, so I think I'm within my timeline.
Okay.
I know my car needs to get inspected in July. Again, I've never done that.
I know. And I
Sorry,
look at the
I've
sticker.
never.
I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, well, that's outdated.
I've
So I
never
got to
done
do
that.
that.
I've never
Yeah.
done that. Um, so those of you who are tuning in, I'm sure that you maybe have had similar experiences to Kim and I. If you are someone that is just tuning in that has not had this experience, God bless you. Take what we are telling you and learn from that and learn how to do some of these things. Um,
And if you are experiencing this, I guess the reason that we wanted to do this podcast is
mhm.
um, we have said many times that we feel alone, like we're
Correct.
different,
Yes.
like nobody understands, and that's
Mhm.
kind of our
Mhm.
premise and our purpose
Right.
for this journey. And I know just talking about it helps,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
and I think that's good for us. So
Mhm.
um, you don't find yourself alone because this
Right.
is overwhelming. It's scary. You
It
don't
is
know.
very
It's
scary,
very, very
very, very
scary.
scary. I know with the car situation, when the gentleman was telling me this, that, and the other thing about the car, I just literally was like shaking my head because I had no idea. Um, I was basically agreeing to everything. He was telling me it needed this, it needed that, and of course, I'm just going to agree.
Right. You don't
Um,
know.
so I would like to think people wouldn't take advantage, but
Oh,
again,
no, forget it.
yeah, unfortunately, that happens.
And nobody
Um,
cuts you a break either.
no,
You don't get a
no,
break. You don't get,
no,
and I feel like I do get,
yeah,
the- like things that I do. Like if I walk into a shop, like I
hmm
recently had to buy a new car for myself and for my son because his decided to whatever not pass inspection, and then mine decided to have all
hmm
these crazy recalls. So within 10 days I bought two cars, and I felt like these salesmen are like, oh, here's a young girl, hot wink, um, by herself. She doesn't know
I
anything
don't
about
think
cars.
they were thinking young
Oh,
girl,
okay. Well,
but
that's what I thought. But
yeah,
anyways, they saw, a single girl by herself,
hmm
like, oh,
hmm
she doesn't know anything about cars. We can
hmm
tell her any price,
right,
and I'm so desperate that I needed two cars.
Right.
So and then you could kick yourself because you don't have anybody to
Right.
bounce those ideas
Right.
off of. There's
Right.
nobody to say, hey,
Right.
is this the right decision? Is
Mhm.
this financially, can we afford this? Should
Mhm.
we afford
Mhm.
this? Well, at that
Mhm.
point I didn't have a choice,
Right.
um but there's nobody there to bounce
Mhm.
these major life decisions off of,
Mhm.
and one
And
of them like
right.
finances and all the other things
Right.
we've been
And
talking
and
about.
I think you hit the nail on the head. A couple issues there. When you're a couple, those are things you discuss together. You know,
Hmm.
can we afford this purchase? Do we really need this? And then all of a sudden, it's up to us by
Hmm.
ourselves to figure this out. Just like Kim said, this is something that she had to do. I know one of the things they say is in the first year not to make any major financial decisions. Well, unfortunately for some of us, sometimes that
That's not
can't be helped.
right. It's not possible.
That
Right.
you may be forced or faced with some big financial burden that you have to take care of. And unfortunately, in both of our cases, neither one of us are rich. Wish we were.
Yeah.
Kim and I both have to work in order to make ends meet.
Right.
Our husbands were young when they passed, and neither one of us gets Social Security.
Nope.
So these are things that we're faced with. Carrying the medical insurance. You
Oh,
know,
that's another
that's
issue.
another issue.
Big headache.
Absolutely. Things that we've had to face that we didn't know about. Like, I don't know, again, I don't know about deductibles. Had I known about deductibles when my car had the accident, it was $1,000 deductible that I
Hmm.
had to pay out. So
And you
again,
didn't know that because you
did
never handled the
I never
insurance.
handled the
Yep.
insurance. I'm sure he had a
Yep.
very good reason.
Right.
Um,
Right.
it might have been because of the kids. Like, I don't know. I don't know
Right.
what the reason was, but I
And
had
you
no
can't
idea.
ask.
No.
And those are the things I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I wish I would know. I wish I could
Mm-hmm.
ask Chris.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had some explanation. And now I have
Mm-hmm.
to assume, and I
Right.
have to kind of do it on my own. I have to figure
Right.
it out on my
Right.
own. And
Right.
that's heavy. That
It
weighs
is.
heavy.
It is. And unfortunately, as Kim said, dealing with this on top of everything else is
Hmm.
just kind of like a double whammy for you. And again, we would love to tell you this isn't going to happen to you, but unfortunately, losing a significant other, it is going to happen. There are expenses. I was not aware of the funeral costs even.
Oh,
I had
my Lord.
no idea. No
and
idea.
and we didn't even have
No,
elaborate funerals for our
no,
husbands,
no.
and I
Very
just
simple.
and the life
Mm-hmm.
insurance didn't even, I mean, it paid for some of it but not all
Right,
of it, so
right.
there's
Mm-hmm.
that added
Mm-hmm.
expense,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's not something that you think
Right.
about, like, oh, I have to shell out thousands and thousands of
Right.
dollars.
Absolutely. And again, most of us don't have that laying around. Most of us
Mhm.
don't have that in the bank. Um, it's one of those things where, there's on TV, about insurance. Well, we'll get it later. We'll get it later. And most people, that's how they think. I'll just get it later.
Or
Everything's going to be
tomorrow.
okay.
Yep.
I'll get it tomorrow. We
Yep.
have time.
Yep.
Unfortunately, sometimes you don't.
No.
And then again, you're leaving your loved one in these situations like we're in right now, you know, trying to keep our homes, trying to make ends meet, we're basically just trying to live the life that we had lived prior financially. That's it.
By
By
ourselves.
ourselves.
Yeah.
We're trying to do those same things,
As a
pay,
couple, but now
yeah,
it's just one.
pay our
Mhm.
utilities, just simple things,
Yep.
gas for our vehicles, food, just simple things like that. Paying those insurances, paying all those things. It's just unreal. It's just unreal the
And
things that come
there's a
up.
lot of decisions, just like we were talking
Hmm.
about. There's a lot of decisions that go into that, which again, like I just said, it's hard when you have to do it by yourself
Right.
because you're second guessing, and then
Hmm.
you think, did I make the right decision? Didn't
Right.
I? Should I? Shouldn't I?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's always something, and
Hmm.
it gets to be heavy. As I said, there's a lot on our shoulders, and but I think talking about this, I mean, I like this. I hope somebody else does.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
like this, and I think we
Hmm.
could talk forever about all these. And
Absolutely.
this is kind of just our daily life that
Absolutely.
comes
Yeah.
up.
Hmm.
That's our life after our love is gone.
Hmm.
Our
Hmm.
loved one is gone,
Hmm.
because our love isn't gone. Our love for our husbands is not gone. It's
No.
never gone. It
No.
never will be gone. We just have to carry it a little
Hmm.
differently.
Hmm.
And I've had some people say it's grief is love with nowhere to go. I guess so, but I think that we also carry it
Hmm.
differently. We just carry that love a little differently
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
than we did.
Mhm.
You're coming up on 11 months
Yeah.
pretty soon,
I
and
know.
I just passed 19 months,
Mhm.
and I think we both carry that love a little differently than we did
Mhm.
all those months ago.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And and like I said, I had no idea what I was going to be facing. I
Oh
literally
no,
had no idea. It was
absolutely not.
like, it's bad enough that your husband's gone. It's like, and then all of a sudden you have all these other things that you have to face and you have to do, and you're not even able to take care of yourself.
Right.
I mean, literally, little owned. I
And
mean, I have to remind myself to eat. I have to remind myself all kinds of things throughout the day. You know,
yeah, and
you
we
know,
lost part of ourselves too.
yeah,
And that's what I read a
absolutely.
lot about that. I read
Hmm.
a lot about when you lose your spouse, you're also losing part of you who you were with them. And now you have
Hmm.
to find yourself
Hmm.
again. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know who I
No,
am. I don't know
no,
what I want. That's a lot. That's a lot of pressure. I
it
feel
is. It is.
because now we
Yep.
have to figure out this
Hmm.
life alone. And
Hmm.
thank God we have each other to kind
Yeah,
of bounce things off
absolutely.
of.
I think about that too. When I met Joe, I was 23. I'm now 63.
Oh my
So
God, that's a long time.
that's a long time.
Yeah,
It's a
that's a
long
long time.
time. So, I'm not the same person I was 40 years ago. I never will be her again. Um, and this person that I am now is a combination of who I used to be, who I was as his wife, um, and now I have to try to find myself again, and it's
And
very difficult. It's
it
extremely,
is,
yeah,
it
it
is.
really is.
And early on in my
Hmm.
grief, I would sit in in my empty house, in my quiet house, and I'd think, you know, um, I was always a daughter, and then I was a girlfriend, then I was a fiance, then I was a wife, then I was a mom, or I mean, I'm still all those things, so or most of those things, but now I'm not. The only thing I am now is a mom.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
and that's
Hmm.
kind of because I have never been by myself. I've
Right,
always been a
right,
daughter, and then
right,
with
right.
my mom and dad, then with Chris, and then with the
Hmm.
kids, and now
Hmm.
I'm by myself. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's another whole
Hmm.
role that
Hmm.
we need to
And
assume.
that's just it. Losing our parents is enough. But then for both of us to lose our husbands at a
Right,
young age
right,
too is
right.
just
That's so
it's
different.
just too much. It's just too much because your parents would always be there for you. Your spouse would always be there for you, and that's what we don't have. We don't have. It's like we're on a high wire with no net anymore. You
And
know,
I always
and we're
say,
trying to balance, and we're
mhm,
trying to move forward on this high wire, and we have nobody to catch us if we fall. If we fall, we fall.
yeah,
You know,
I'll just laugh at you if you fall. No, I'm just teasing.
See, I would go pick you up because I'm so much nicer than you. I
Maybe,
would run over and pick her
maybe.
up. She would stand there and laugh at me.
I'd say,
I'm
get
sure
up.
she
What's
would.
the matter with
Yeah,
you? Get
that's what
up.
she would do.
Or is your
Yeah.
hip broken?
And
That's what
again,
I'd
as you
say.
know, we're both nurses, so yeah,
Yeah, I'd
that would
say, get
that would
up.
be
You
even
probably
worse.
just busted your hip. Get up.
Probably, probably.
No,
Yeah.
and the other thing I always remind myself is the person that would get me through this is not here.
Absolutely.
My husband got
Yeah.
me through the loss of my parents, and my husband is not here to get
Hmm.
me through the loss of him. And
Yep.
that's an
Hmm.
incredibly lonely feeling,
Hmm.
as we've talked about
Hmm.
many times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know we were talking about pain, and you have pain when you have childbirth, you have pain when you have surgery, you have pain over various things, but the pain that is there from the loss of a loved one is just something that you cannot explain to anyone until
It's like no other.
it's like no other.
No,
They have to, unfortunately, they have to go through it to feel what you feel and understand how you feel. They literally have to go through it.
it's hard to
It's
find people
so
that understand.
yeah, it's so different. I know. um I think people keep having babies because they forget the pain of childbirth and they go have another one. um this is something that I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. I
This is
really
horrible.
would not wish something like this on my worst enemy
Where
because
there is deep grief, there is
yeah,
deep love.
yeah, yeah.
And we're going to grieve as deeply as we loved. And I read those kind of inspirational
Hmm.
quotes, and some days it helps me, some days it just makes me mad
Mhm.
that I have to have this, that
I
I
know.
have to have this feeling, because it's just not right. It's
Mhm.
just absolutely not right.
Mhm.
And but where there is deep love, there is deep
Mhm.
grief.
And I guess that does make sense because you love your parents, and that's a very hard thing to do. Losing your parents, it's extremely hard. I remember a couple of things about losing my mom. Um, the first thing was, in our culture, if you go to a funeral and you're the one that has lost a loved one, you sit in the front. You sit in the front. And I remember going up, and um, I was in the front row, and I'm like, oh no, this is bad. If I'm in the front row, this is
Yeah.
bad. I didn't like that. And I remember looking at all my family members, and I thought, wow, the only way I'm related to you is from my mom, and my mom is gone. And I just felt so estranged from them from the first time in my life. These are people I had known all my life, aunts, cousins, uncles, people I'd known all my life. But all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, the link I had was my mom,
It's gone.
and
She's
now,
gone.
yeah, and she's gone, and she's gone.
Same. Yep.
And
I've
again,
had that.
you hit the nail on the head. My husband helped me through that grief. He
Mhm.
helped me through that grief. Um, had he not been here for me, I don't know what I would have done. It was overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. I just lost my dad in January of 2024, and then I lost Joe in July of 2025. So I had just lost my dad too, and again, he was there for me. He helped me get through it. Um, but you're right. Now I don't have the one person that got me through everything. When I decided to go back to school, all those things I decided to do, he was my number one cheerleader. He was there for me. You know, I never felt inadequate because he would always make me feel very special and make me feel all those things. And now that's just it.
And pushed you, and
And
I have
yeah,
nobody to push me. My
absolutely.
husband would
Mm-hmm.
push, and he would make me maybe get out of my comfort
Mm-hmm.
zone a little bit with certain things.
Well,
But now I have nobody to push
yeah,
me, and if I don't want to do it, I'm like, no, not doing it.
yeah.
I'm gonna sit down, and maybe that feeling will pass. Maybe,
Well,
maybe my
mm-hmm.
feeling of doing all the landscaping, maybe my
Mm-hmm.
feeling of watering all those plants or
Mm-hmm.
cleaning, you know what, I'll just sit here for a minute, maybe that'll pass.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, you just get like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, that's more things to do.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
just one more layer of
Mm-hmm.
responsibility, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
It is. It is. And then, like we had started off the podcast, was talking about financials. One more layer is that financial, and worrying about expenses is weighs on you very heavily. It really
It
weighs on
does.
you
It
very
does.
heavily,
And
and that's something that unfortunately most of you will have to experience too if you go through what we're going through. So, if anything, please think about that. Think about maybe beefing up your life insurance policy. Think about talking to your significant other
just talk
about,
about it. Yeah.
those things, and
Have a plan.
have a plan,
Mhm.
and
I,
talk about,
I,
car insurance and things like
I
that.
think we did have a plan.
Hmm.
I know my husband was very good about, he helped plan things, that when he went onto hospice, he started to plan
Hmm.
actually before that, when he
Hmm.
found out um, when there wasn't really a whole lot to do, um, like even a year or so before he got very, very sick. Um, and he kind of, we had talked about it, like what would happen, and,
Hmm.
not joking around, but we didn't take it seriously. We talked about it lightly.
Hmm.
But he, as things got closer, when he went to hospice, um, he would plan different things, and he planned out, like, um, some of his services, um,
Hmm.
and I think that helped. But there's still so many unanswered questions that I
Right.
had to decide,
Right.
and that we've talked about in
Hmm.
our other podcasts. We've talked about, like who was going to be there, like who he wanted to be there, who
Absolutely.
was
Yeah.
going to be the
Hmm.
do the
Hmm.
readings at his services, and
Hmm.
um, like your friends and your family, which is another
Hmm.
layer of I wouldn't call it frustration, but struggle
It is,
sometimes.
yeah.
It's a layer of struggle.
It can be.
Just
Yeah.
because relationships change, everything changes
Mhm.
because we're not the same. And,
Mhm.
we've talked about, our
Mhm.
friends and family on other podcasts and things, and kids and
Mhm.
children. And,
Mhm.
we've talked about all those different things.
Mhm.
Um, and you're just, even though you think you're prepared, you're not.
No.
Even though we
No.
talked about it, as I said, we talked about it lightly,
Mhm.
not real
Mhm.
heavy until
Mhm.
things,
Mhm.
really started to go downhill with Chris. And then we
Mhm.
did talk about it a little more, but there's a lot of things that I never expected to
Right.
come up, like
Right.
with the insurances
Right.
and
Right.
with the other,
Mhm.
like the house things. I mean, I knew,
Mhm.
but I didn't, like I ran out of oil like
Mhm.
a couple months ago, I think it was, and
Mhm.
I had to call somebody, and then I didn't have anybody to fix this, and then I
Mhm.
had to call
Mhm.
somebody after hours, and then that
Mhm.
costs more money. That's like a
Mhm.
gazillion dollars. Do you
Mhm.
know if you pay an HVAC person after hours, like they make triple what you and I do as nurses, which that's another story.
So
But
we should go into HVAC, is what
I'm
you're
thinking,
saying. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Apologize to any HVAC people
No,
out
but that's
there.
good. They're
You work.
smart.
You work very hard. You
No, they're
deserve what you
smart.
get.
No, they're very
But
smart. We're
again,
not, but
these
still,
are
but
things.
those are the
Yeah,
things.
those are things that we wouldn't even anticipate. I know.
No,
I was just telling Kim earlier. Like I look back at every month since Joe's been gone, and every month there's been an expense that I didn't plan on.
nope.
Every single month,
Yep,
and
yep.
it's like, when am I going to get a break? When is this going to end? I've got to get myself back on my feet. I don't know when it's going to happen. I feel like I've tightened my belt as much as I can. I don't know. And unfortunately, we're going through a really bad time right now with the
But
price
with
of everything.
everything,
Yeah,
yeah,
with
just
the price of
everything's so
everything
much more
too.
expensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to go from
Yeah,
two incomes to one is
huge,
huge,
huge.
huge
Yes,
problem
yes.
sometimes.
So we just want you again to know that you're not alone. We get it. We feel for you. We're going through it ourselves. And again, if you're someone tuning in that hasn't lost their spouse, thank God. Maybe it'll give you something to think about to prepare. Because this is unfortunately everyone's reality. Eventually, I mean, this is reality. You know, you are going to lose your parents, and you know, both of you. I mean, we can't all be like the Notebook and both go at the same time.
No, don't you wish?
Yeah.
I
There's
do.
times I wish
I
that.
do. I
Yeah.
wish.
There's times I wish that would have happened, but unfortunately, that's not what happened for
Some days
us.
I do wish,
Yeah.
but I think, well, I guess we're supposed to be doing this for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. We were spared for a reason. Why
Yeah.
I don't know. Why I don't
Maybe
know.
we'll figure it out
Yeah.
someday.
We like to joke that our husbands are up there watching us and laughing about
Laughing,
everything. I
pointing,
think
and
they're
laughing.
laughing.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
pointing and
I'm pretty
laughing.
sure they're
Like,
pointing and
hey,
laughing.
watch this. Watch
Yeah.
them. What they're gonna
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
Watch this.
Yeah.
Hold my beer. Watch this.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah. The car is gonna break down. Let's see how she reacts. I don't know. No.
Yeah.
No.
Joseph.
Yeah. I know. If I find out they had anything to do with any
they're in
of
big
this
trouble when we get there.
they're both in
Oh,
big
they're in
trouble. Yeah.
huge
I
trouble.
know.
The beatings will
Yeah.
begin.
We do joke a lot about it, but it's what keeps us going, because
You have to.
we do picture them up there making fun of us and laughing.
You have to laugh through your tears,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
laughing gets I wouldn't say laughing gets easier. Laughing comes with the pain a
Mhm.
little bit more
Mhm.
now,
Mhm.
instead of more pain, less laughing. I
Mhm.
feel like it's getting to be a little bit more equal now. Like there's more laughing with the pain, not
Mhm.
instead of, or
Mhm.
pain instead of laughing. If
Mhm.
that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
No, I totally get it, and I know that. I remember when it first happened, and I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to laugh again because he was so funny, and he could make me laugh all the time. He just had this
And
way
if you
about him,
laughed,
and
you
I
felt
thought,
guilty.
yeah, I did. I felt guilty. I thought, why am I the one having fun?
Why am I still
Why am
here
I
to
still
laugh?
here? Why am I
Yep.
laughing? My children are grieving. Like everything has changed. How dare I have fun? How dare I laugh?
We're not supposed
And
to. Yeah.
and then it was like you have to give yourself permission because
Give
it is
yourself
okay.
grace.
It is, you're still here. You have to live. And I look at it this way. If I have to pay the insurance, buy the food, cook the food and all that, I get to have a little bit of fun and I get to laugh a little bit.
And you get to eat
That's
it.
that's my reward for all the things I'm doing now. How about that?
How about it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe if your food's good or not,
yeah.
you still get to eat
Yeah.
it. It's yours.
Yeah. So again, thank you for tuning in. We hope maybe we taught you something. And we appreciate you tuning in to see Kim and I. And talk about our life after love's journey.
See you next time.